Good morning, sunshine. Evening, moonlight, wherever you're at. This is Charlie.
Philosophers with pens in hand, questions deep, ain't life grand?
And we're back. The podcast where we pull the curtain on the world's most bizarre, ridiculous, and strangely logical mysteries. Today, we're cracking open the biggest one yet. Are we all just pawns in a high-stakes game of chess played by the ultra-elite?
Let's move on. Nobody cares about the chickens, minds the one we're kicking. Elevate the soul.
Think about it. Wars rage, economies crumble, politicians scream at each other on TV, and we're all here, fighting over scraps. But behind closed doors, somewhere in a candlelit room that probably smells like vintage cognac and questionable decisions, the real power players are laughing, clinking their glasses, and making moves that shape the world.
Laid awake in our beds, wonder wild, feel alive.
Now, before you adjust your tinfoil hats, we're not here to spin wild conspiracy theories. Instead, we're going to explore documented historical events and verified accounts that reveal how elite groups have influenced major world events, sometimes in plain sight, if you know where to look. From the mysterious Freemasons who helped build America's foundations, quite literally, as many were architects, to the very real Skull and Bones Society at Yale that's produced 3 U.S. presidents, these groups have left their fingerprints all over history. As the philosopher Bertrand Russell once noted, the fundamental cause of trouble in the world today is that the stupid are cocksure, while the intelligent are full of doubt.
Elevate the soul, let it fly, find new ways till we die. Oh!
We're talking secret handshakes, hidden symbols, and the ultimate question: does money even have a nationality or a religion? Or is that just another illusion they feed us? So grab your favorite overpriced beverage and let's unravel this mess together, because while we're busy debating who's right and who's wrong, the elites, well, they're just watching. And guess what? They're also winning. Some of what you'll hear might surprise you, some might concern you, but all of it is grounded in historical facts. So let's get into it. Freemasonry has always been an enigma, part gentleman's club, part secret handshake society, and part let's influence world events behind the scenes, allegedly. What started in the stonemason guilds of medieval Europe eventually evolved into one of the most widespread and influential secret societies in history.
Oh no, the car exploded!
Freemasonry isn't just some Western boys' club. Its membership spans continents, religions, and political ideologies, proving one thing: power moves globally and it does not discriminate. In 1776, George Washington is being sworn in as a worshipful master of Alexandria Lodge number 22 in Virginia. Meanwhile, across the ocean, European lodges are humming with philosophical discussions that would shape the Enlightenment. As Benjamin Franklin aptly noted during his time as Grand Master of Pennsylvania, Masonry has tenets peculiar to itself. They serve as testimonials of character and qualifications which are only conferred after due course of instruction and examination. But here's where it gets fascinating. This wasn't just a Western phenomenon. Like a stone dropped in still water, Masonic ideals rippled across the globe. Take Jose Rizal, the Philippine national hero who joined Acacia Lodge number 9 in Madrid. While European colonizers were drawing lines on maps, Rizal was drawing inspiration from Masonic principles of equality and brotherhood to fuel his nation's independence movement. Now, speaking of independence movements, let's talk about Motilal Nehru in India. While the British Raj was trying to maintain its grip on the jewel in the crown, Nehru was using the same principles of brotherhood that his British counterparts cherished to advocate for Indian self-rule. The irony wouldn't have been lost on Winston Churchill, himself a Mason, who would later face the dissolution of the very empire the organization had once helped build.
What are you talking about?
In Chile, Salvador Allende embodied another fascinating contradiction: a socialist leader who belonged to an organization often associated with capitalism and elite power. As he once remarked, "I am a Mason, and I am proud of belonging to this humanitarian institution." While religions and nations were busy drawing lines in the sand, Freemasons were quietly erasing them. In their lodges, you'd find Christians breaking bread with Muslims, with Jews, sharing wisdom with Hindus, and capitalists debating philosophy with socialists. As Rudyard Kipling, another famous Mason, wrote, "The craft had taught him how to dress his mind." and from that had proceeded amazing discoveries. The archaeological record backs this up. From the intricate stonework of European cathedrals to the architectural marvels of colonial America, from the design of New Delhi to the layout of Manila, you're looking at the handiwork of a global brotherhood that transcended the very boundaries they were hired to build. Gamal Abdel Nasser, the charismatic leader of Pan-Arabism, was himself a Mason before taking a dramatic turn. The paradox? Well, a man who belonged to a brotherhood with colonial ties would ultimately become one of colonialism's most formidable opponents. In a twist of historical irony, Nasser would later crack down on Masonic lodges in Egypt, viewing them as potential vehicles for foreign influence, the very network he had once been part of. Meanwhile, in Ethiopia, Emperor Haile Selassie, the Lion of Judah himself, presided over a court where Masonic influence quietly flourished. The man revered by Rastafarians as the living embodiment of divine leadership was connected to the same fraternal network as the colonial powers he successfully resisted.
I'm sorry, what?
As historian Harold Marcus noted, Selassie's Ethiopia maintained its independence through careful balancing of traditional power structures with modern international networks. So think about all that for a moment. While the rest of the world was building walls, these men were building bridges.
Hi-ho, it's off to work we go.
Oh, it's worth noting that these bridges weren't always accessible to everyone. Women, for instance, were historically excluded from mainstream Freemasonry, a policy that continues in many lodges today.
I'm sorry, what?
As historian Jessica Harlan Jacobs documented in her work, Builders of Empire, Freemasonry served as a peculiar system of morality, veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. It provided a common language for men who might otherwise have been divided by nationality, religion, and social status.
I don't like you. I don't like you at all.
Now, let's fast forward to the post-war era where our story takes an interesting turn. While most of us were watching the obvious power plays of the Cold War, another kind of meeting was taking place in a quiet Dutch hotel in 1954. The Bilderberg Group, named after the hotel where they first met, might sound like something from a Robert Ludlum novel, but it's very real. As David Rockefeller, a regular attendee, once wrote in his memoirs, "Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it." Think of it as the world's most exclusive dinner party. The guest list? Well, a who's who of global influence. Harry Kissinger sharing bread with European royalty, tech billionaires discussing artificial intelligence with central bankers, media moguls debating with prime ministers, and as former NATO Secretary General Willie Kleiss revealed, when a chairman of the Bilderberg opens a debate, he sets the rules. No minutes are taken, no press conferences are given, and there are certainly no reports written. But Bilderberg wasn't enough for some. By 73, David Rockefeller and teams decided to expand the guest list eastward, creating the Trilateral Commission. Their goal? Making sure America, Europe, and Japan stayed on the same page, or at least read from similar scripts. While these groups were meeting in five-star hotels, another kind of influence was playing out on the ground. Remember the old saying, divide and conquer? It's not so old after all. It turns out it's more than just ancient wisdom. Take the British Empire's approach in India. They didn't just show up and take over. They masterfully played local rulers against each other. The East India Company would literally fund both sides of regional conflicts, profiting from the weapons sales while weakening all parties involved. As Lord Elphinstone boldly stated in 1859, divide et impera was the old Roman motto, and it should be ours.
Why, hello there, and welcome.
Fast forward to today, and the playbook has not changed. It's just gone digital. In 2014, Harvard Business School professor Shoshana Zuboff coined the term surveillance capitalism, describing how our attention itself has become the commodity. As she notes, "The game is no longer about sending you a marketing message. It's about changing your actual behavior." So consider this. While we're arguing about cat videos versus dog videos on social media, The same algorithms pushing that content are owned by people who probably discussed their impact at last year's Bilderberg meeting. Francis Hogan, a tech whistleblower, testified that Facebook's algorithms optimize for engagement. And anger is the emotion that engages people the most. And anger is the emotion that engages people the most. And anger is the emotion that engages people the most. So, this pattern of division and conflict becomes particularly striking when we look at headlines today. The Russian-Ukrainian conflict and the Israeli-Palestinian crisis offer modern examples of how old-age tactics of division continue to play out on the global stage, forcing us to take sides, brew further hate with such inconsistent fact, yet people still want to act like the all-knowing knots that they are. So consider this. While the world watches these conflicts through the lens of traditional power struggles, there's a deeper economic game at play. The Center for Research and Globalization notes that wars are good for business, particularly for the military, industrial complex, and the financial sector. Let's look at the numbers. In the first year of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict alone, the stock prices of major defense contractors rose by over 30%. President Dwight Eisenhower warned in his farewell address that in the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict presents another layer of domination altogether. While headlines focus on religious and territorial disputes, behind the scenes, we see familiar patterns of resource control and strategic interests. Former World Bank President James Wolfenson once observed, the problem isn't just about land and security. It's about water, economic opportunity, and who controls vital resources. Look at the landscape. Understand the foundation. Observe the weather patterns. Take in your surroundings. Explore the depths. Analyze the businesses, and only then maybe will you truly grasp what's happening and what's at stake. It might feel safe to stand with the bullies right now, but somewhere out there, a child is growing up angry, hungry, and isolated because those who played God took away everything that meant something to him. So I wonder, where do you think your children will be when his time comes?
In fields of green without a sound, feathers fall, they hit the ground.
While these conflicts appear to be between distinct nations or groups, follow the money trail and you'll often find the same financial institutions funding both sides. As the economist Joseph Stiglitz pointed out, modern conflicts are rarely about ideology. They're almost always about who controls resources and markets. So think about it this way. While ordinary citizens on all sides suffer the consequences of these conflicts, certain global entities profit regardless of the outcome. It's like a casino where the house always wins, except the stakes are measured in human lives rather than chips. And now, China's deep-seated curveball DeepSeek and America's OpenAI? Well, I'm betting my life on at least an all-out underground war, the terms of which we don't yet fully understand. Now, the real question isn't just who's manipulating whom. It's whether we can recognize these patterns in time to break them. As a former UN Secretary General once said, the pursuit of peace and progress cannot end in a few years in either victory or defeat. The pursuit of peace and progress, with its trials and its errors, its successes and its setbacks, can never be relaxed and never abandoned. Not every closed-door meeting is a sinister plot. Sure, sometimes, as former Bilderberg participant George Ball argued, you need private spaces to discuss public problems. But the question isn't whether these groups exist, because we know that they do. The question is, how do we ensure their influence serves the many and not just the few?
Fractal powers, science blooms like April showers.
John Ronson, the renowned journalist, once observed after years of investigating secret societies, the truth is out there, but it's not nearly as exciting as you think. So perhaps the real power isn't in the secrets these groups keep, but in our ability to understand and engage with their visible influence on our world. Let's discuss something that might make you uncomfortable, and that is the illusion of choice. The illusion of choice. The illusion of choice. Are we actually choosing? You know that feeling when you're picking between two streaming services, both owned by actually the same company, like Disney versus Hulu? Or how about Pepsi versus Mountain Dew, same parent company? KFC versus Taco Bell, both owned by Yum Brands, and Nestle versus San Pellegrino? Well, you guessed it, same corporate overlord. The public must be put in its place so that each of us may live free of the trampling and roaring of a bewildered heard. Pretty bold from the legendary journalist Walter Lippmann wrote that in 1922. And he's not exactly looking wrong at all with that exaggerated, flared up world we live in today where everybody's just a superstar. In the 2020 U.S. election cycle, lobbying spending hit $3.49 billion. As Senator Mike Gravel once admitted, the corporate grip on opinion in the United States is one of the wonders of the Western world. No first world country has ever managed to eliminate so entirely from its media all objectivity, much less dissent.
Are you crazy? Me?
Our greatest artists and storytellers have been trying to warn us about this for decades. Take George Orwell's 1984. When he wrote about the Ministry of Truth rewriting history, he might as well have been predicting today's 24-hour news cycle. So Orwell warned that the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. To deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history.
This is the captain. Red alert. Red alert.
And I mentioned this guy before because this man baffles me with his foresight. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Instead of a boot stamping on a human face forever, he saw a world where we'd be too entertained to care about our own exploitation. Therefore, Orwell feared those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism. And then there's The Matrix, a movie that became so culturally significant that both political extremes started using its red pill metaphor. The film's directors tapped into something haunting, that the nagging suspicion that something isn't quite right with our reality. The philosopher Jean Baudrillard, whose work influenced the film, wrote, "The simulacrum is never that which conceals the truth. It is the truth which conceals that there is none." Basically jargon for meaning we've moved beyond the idea of fake versus real. He's saying that we're no longer in a world where fake things hide real things. Instead, we're in a world where the distinction between real and fake has collapsed entirely. The simulation of social media life or reality TV isn't exactly hiding reality, it's actually replacing it. I mean, even check out our language today with AI. Partly thanks to AI, we're learning deeper maybe and even more strategic ways of thought, but it's also replacing our vocabulary in ways that I find myself suddenly using terms I probably wouldn't have before its inception. Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut takes this theme into even more unsettling territory. When Dr. Bill Harford stumbles into the masked ball, he's not just witnessing a fancy party, he's getting a glimpse behind the curtain of power. As Kubrick himself noted in his final interview, the world is run by insane people with insane objectives. It's been true for a very long time. The world is run by insane people with insane objectives. It's been true for a very long time. I mean, even our rebellion has been packaged and sold back to us. Think about it. You want to stick it to the system? Well, you can buy a Che Guevara t-shirt on Amazon. Feel like protesting corporate greed? Well, there's a Eat the Rich hoodie waiting for you at H&M. Even the things that are meant to wake us up are part of the machine. You can binge watch The Social Dilemma, a documentary warning you about big tech on Netflix, a company that thrives on keeping you glued to your screen. You can buy a V for Vendetta mask, the ultimate symbol of resistance, from Warner Brothers, a massive media conglomerate.
You have to believe me.
The system isn't just allowing criticism, it actually needs it. It gives us just enough room to feel like we're pushing back while making sure we never really break free. It's rebellion, but with a price tag. So, are we resisting, or are we just consuming a different brand of obedience? The real question isn't whether we're being influenced, because we are. The question is, what do we do with that knowledge? You can't be neutral on a moving train. Remember, democracy isn't something we have. It is something we do. Every day we don't actively participate in our political system is a day someone else makes decisions for us. As Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis once said, we may have democracy, or we may have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we can't possibly have both. All right, let's bring this home with our golden nugget for the day. If there's one thing to take away from this episode, it's this. We've been played. We've been played. And not just yesterday, not just last year. This game has been running on for centuries. We've been taught to see the world in black and white, us versus them, East versus West, Christian versus Muslim versus Jew, capitalist versus socialist. Meanwhile, the people at the top, well, they're not playing by these rules. While we argue on X about which country is better or whose ideology ideology is right. The elites are working together, laughing over expensive whiskey, trading secrets, and consolidating powers across borders. Because here's the ugly truth. Money has no religion. Power has no nationality. Influence has absolutely no ideology. If anything, the divisions we hold so tightly are nothing but distractions, a smokescreen, a cheap magic trick designed to keep us busy while they pull the real strings behind the curtain. And there are enough ignoramuses out there to ensure the cycle never dies. There are enough haters who are gonna hate and baiters who are gonna bait. So what do we do? Well, we wake up. Instead of fighting each other, how about we start asking the right questions? Instead of falling for manufactured divisions, we recognize our common struggles. The moment we stop letting them manipulate us into hating one another is the moment we unite against the real puppet masters. That's when things change, because no system can survive if the people it exploits stop playing along. Nothing happens in a vacuum. There's no such thing as terror without a cause. Violence does not just appear out of thin air. It's a reaction, a ripple in the fabric of history, often born from suffering, oppression, and injustice. We've been fed the idea that there are good guys and bad guys, that some people are just evil while others are innocent. But the truth? No one is purely innocent when systems of power, war, and exploitation have shaped the world for generations. Nations, ideologies, and histories are layered, messy, and full of perspectives we rarely hear. If we ever want to move forward, if we ever want peace that's real and not just a ceasefire before the next conflict, we need to change the conversation. We need to stop looking at the world in binaries and start asking, what led to this? Who benefits from this division? And what stories aren't exactly being told? Because the real battle isn't between countries, religions, or ideologies. It's between those who want us divided and those who dare to see the bigger picture. The moment we stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other as human, the game changes. And that's exactly what the system fears the most. The next time you see some orchestrated outrage on the news, or some war that suddenly needs to happen, or an economic crash that only hurts regular people, ask yourself, who benefits? Because I promise you, while we're arguing on social media, somewhere in a luxurious, dimly lit room, the real power players are raising their glasses and saying, checkmate. All right, so I'm done, you're done, and somewhere a chicken just sighed in relief. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay skeptical, stay sharp, and before you go, do me a tiny favor. Please hit follow, or leave a comment, or rate, or drop a review. It's really a 4-second thing. Your support is my fuel, and I promise to keep trying to improve. I'm on a mission to prove that even if you think you're nobody, or you're not famous, you're still someone for somebody. Not all is lost on humanity if we act now. Stay curious, and remember, nobody cares about the chickens, but there's always someone out there that definitely cares about you.
Mom, somebody just followed me.
This show is sponsored by LeChaos.co, www.lechaos.co. Genderless, sustainable, trendy lifestyle.